National Electrical Code, or NEC, introduced a requirement for common area lighting to be on a separate circuit from tenant spaces in 1999, specifically Section 210.23. D of the 1999 NEC states that, in multiple occupancy buildings, lighting for common areas such as lobbies, halls, stairways, and basements shall not be supplied from the same branch circuit that supplies lighting for the individual dwelling units. Before the 1999 NEC, there was no specific requirement mandating separate circuits for common area lighting. However, good electrical practices often led electricians to separate these circuits anyway, primarily for reasons of safety and convenience. Considering a duplex remodeled in 1995, this predates the 1999 NEC implementation. Therefore, it is plausible that the remodel passed inspection based on the code requirements in force at that time. These earlier codes might not have included the stipulation for separate common area lighting circuits. It is important to acknowledge that local building codes can sometimes be stricter than the NEC. If the duplex is located in an area with such local codes, the separate circuit requirement might have been in effect even before 1999. Ultimately, the property owner bears the responsibility for ensuring code compliance. If a tenant believes that the property does not meet current code standards, they have the right to file a complaint with the local building department. Subsequently, the building department will investigate the complaint to determine if any violations exist. Now let's delve deeper into the significance of this code requirement and its implications. Firstly, the primary reason for separating common area lighting circuits from individual dwelling units is to ensure safety. If a tenant circuit experiences an overload or a fault, it shouldn't plunge the common areas into darkness, potentially creating hazardous conditions for other occupants. Secondly, convenience is another key factor. Separating the circuits allows for maintenance and repairs in individual units without affecting the lighting in common areas. This means that landlords or maintenance personnel can work on a tenant's electrical system without disrupting the lighting for other tenants or visitors. Thirdly, energy usage and billing can be more accurately tracked when common area lighting is on a separate circuit. This prevents disputes between tenants and landlords over who is responsible for the electricity consumption of common areas. Now, let's consider the various types of common areas that this code requirement typically applies to. These include, but are not limited to, lobbies, which serve as entrance areas and often require continuous lighting for security and aesthetic purposes, hallways, which need adequate lighting to ensure safe passage for residents and visitors, stairways, which are especially critical because poor lighting can significantly increase the risk of falls and injuries, and basements, often used for storage or laundry, where proper lighting is essential for safety. When dealing with older buildings, it is not uncommon to find electrical systems that predate the 1999 NEC. In such cases, it is important to assess the existing wiring and determine whether it meets current safety standards. If the common area lighting is indeed in the same circuit as a tenant's unit, there are several options for bringing the building into compliance. One option is to install a new, dedicated circuit for the common area lighting. This involves running new wiring from the electrical panel to the common area lights, ensuring that it is properly grounded and protected by a circuit breaker. Another option is to rewire the existing circuits to separate the common area lighting. This may involve some demolition and reconstruction, but it can be a more cost-effective solution in certain situations. Regardless of the approach taken, it is crucial to hire a qualified electrician to perform the work. Electrical work can be dangerous, and it is important to ensure that the job is done correctly and safely. When selecting an electrician, verify that they are licensed and insured, and that they have experience working with older electrical systems. It is also a good idea to obtain multiple quotes before making a decision. Once the electrical work is completed, it is important to have it inspected by the local building department. This will ensure that the work meets all applicable code requirements and that the building is safe for occupancy. In addition to the NEC, there may be other local codes and regulations that apply to common area lighting. For example, some cities or counties may have specific requirements for the type of lighting that is allowed in common areas, or for the amount of light that is required. It is important to research these local codes and regulations to ensure that the building is in full compliance. Furthermore, landlords should be aware of their legal obligations to provide safe and habitable housing for their tenants. This includes ensuring that the electrical system is properly maintained and that all code requirements are met. Failure to do so can result in legal action and financial penalties. Tenants also have certain rights when it comes to electrical safety. They have the right to request that the landlord make necessary repairs to the electrical system, and they have the right to file a complaint with the local building department if they believe that the building is not in compliance with code requirements. In summary, the NEC requirement for separate common area lighting circuits is an important safety measure that helps to protect tenants and prevent accidents. While this requirement was not in effect prior to 1999, it is essential for landlords to ensure that their properties meet current code standards. By understanding the code requirements and taking appropriate action, landlords can create a safer and more comfortable living environment for their tenant. Now let's consider what happens if a landlord fails to comply with the NEC requirements for common area lighting. Firstly, it could create a safety hazard. If a tenant circuit trips, it could leave the common areas in darkness, increasing the risk of falls and injuries, especially on stairways. Secondly, it could lead to legal liability. If someone is injured due to inadequate lighting in a common area, a landlord could be held liable for damages. Thirdly, it could result in fines and penalties from the local building department. Building inspectors have the authority to issue citations for code violations, and these citations can carry significant fines. Fourthly, it could damage the landlord's reputation. Word of mouth travels fast, and if a landlord is known for neglecting their properties, it could be difficult to attract and retain tenants. Therefore, it is in the landlord's best interest to comply with the NEC requirements for common area lighting. It is an investment in safety, reduces liability, and helps to maintain a positive reputation. To ensure compliance, landlords should regularly inspect their properties for potential electrical hazards, hire qualified electricians to perform any necessary repairs or upgrades, and stay up to date on the latest code requirements. In addition to the technical aspects of common area lighting, it is also important to consider the aesthetic aspects. Well-lit common areas can create a more welcoming and inviting atmosphere for residents and visitors. This can be especially important in apartment buildings and condominiums, where common areas serve as shared spaces for all occupants. When selecting lighting fixtures for common areas, consider the following factors. Firstly, energy efficiency. Choose fixtures that are energy efficient and long-lasting. This will help to reduce energy costs and minimize the need for maintenance. Secondly, light output. Select fixtures that provide adequate light output for the space. Insufficient lighting can create a dim and dreary atmosphere, while excessive lighting can be harsh and uncomfortable. Thirdly, color temperature. Consider the color temperature of the light. Warm white light is generally preferred for residential settings, as it creates a cozy and inviting atmosphere. Fourthly, style. Choose fixtures that complement the overall style of the building. The lighting should blend seamlessly with the architecture and decor. Fifthly, safety. Ensure that the fixtures are properly installed and grounded. Faulty wiring can create a fire hazard. By carefully considering these factors, landlords can create common areas that are both safe and aesthetically pleasing. This can enhance the overall living experience for tenants and increase the value of the property. Now let's discuss some common misconceptions about the NEC and electrical codes in general. One common misconception is that the NEC is a law. In reality, the NEC is a set of recommendations that are developed by the National Fire Protection Association, or NFPA. It is up to each state and local jurisdiction to adopt the NEC as law. Another misconception is that the NEC covers all aspects of electrical safety. While the NEC is comprehensive, it does not cover every single detail of electrical installation and maintenance. There may be other local codes and regulations that apply. A third misconception is that only electricians need to know about the NEC. In fact, anyone who works with electrical systems, including landlords, property managers, and homeowners should have a basic understanding of the NEC. This will help them to identify potential hazards and ensure that electrical work is performed safely and correctly. To stay informed about the NEC and other electrical codes, consider the following. Firstly, attend training courses. There are many training courses available that cover the NEC and other electrical codes. These courses can provide valuable insights and practical knowledge. Secondly, read industry publications. There are numerous industry publications that cover electrical safety and code compliance. These publications can keep you up to date on the latest changes and developments. Thirdly, consult with a qualified electrician. If you have any questions or concerns about electrical safety, consult with a qualified electrician. They can provide expert advice and guidance. By staying informed and seeking professional help when needed, you can ensure that your electrical systems are safe and code compliant. Let's clarify the difference between the NEC and local electrical codes. The NEC, as mentioned, is a nationally recognized standard for electrical installations. It's updated every 3 years to reflect advancements in technology and address emerging safety concerns. However, the NEC itself is not a legal document unless it is adopted by a local jurisdiction, such as a city, county, or state. Local electrical codes are the regulations that are legally enforceable in a specific area. These codes are often based on the NEC but may include additional requirements or modifications to address local conditions. For example, a city located in an earthquake-prone area may have stricter requirements for securing electrical equipment to prevent damage during seismic activity. A coastal community may have specific requirements for corrosion-resistant materials to protect against the effects of saltwater. When working on an electrical project, it is crucial to comply with both the NEC and any applicable local electrical codes. This ensures that the installation is safe, reliable, and meets all legal requirements. To determine the specific electrical codes that apply to a particular location, contact the local building department or electrical inspector. They can provide you with the most up-to-date information and guidance. Understanding the relationship between the NEC and local electrical codes is essential for anyone involved in electrical work. It ensures that installations are performed safely and in compliance with all applicable regulations. It is also important to understand the role of electrical inspections. Electrical inspections are conducted by local building departments or independent inspection agencies to verify that electrical installations comply with the NEC and local electrical codes. These inspections are typically required for new construction, renovations, and alterations to existing electrical systems. The purpose of an electrical inspection is to identify any potential hazards or code violations and ensure that they are corrected before the system is energized. This helps to protect people and property from electrical shock, fire, and other hazards. During an electrical inspection, the inspector will examine the wiring, grounding, circuit breakers, outlets, switches, and other electrical components to ensure that they are properly installed and in good working order. They will also verify that the installation meets all applicable code requirements. If the inspector finds any violations, they will issue a list of corrections that must be made before the installation can be approved. Once the corrections have been made, the inspector will conduct a re-inspection to verify that the violations have been resolved. It is important to take electrical inspections seriously. They are a critical safety measure that helps to protect people and property from electrical hazards. If you are planning an electrical project, be sure to obtain the necessary permits and schedule an inspection with the local building department. By working with qualified electricians and complying with all applicable codes and regulations, you can ensure that your electrical system is safe and reliable. Let's consider the specific case of lighting in rental properties. Landlords have a legal and ethical responsibility to provide safe and habitable housing for their tenants. This includes ensuring that the electrical system is properly maintained and that all code requirements are met. As we've discussed, the NEC requires common area lighting in multiple occupancy buildings to be on a separate circuit from individual dwelling units. This is to ensure that if a tenant's circuit trips, it does not plunge the common areas into darkness, creating a safety hazard. In addition to this specific requirement, landlords should also ensure that all lighting fixtures are in good working order, that light bulbs are replaced promptly, and that there is adequate lighting in all areas of the property, including hallways, stairways, and parking lots. Insufficient lighting can create a security risk and increase the likelihood of accidents. Landlords should also be aware of any local codes or regulations that apply to lighting in rental properties. Some jurisdictions may have specific requirements for the type of lighting that is allowed, or for the amount of light that is required. To ensure compliance, landlords should consult with the local building department or a qualified electrician. Tenants also have a role to play in ensuring electrical safety in rental properties. They should report any electrical hazards to the landlord promptly, such as flickering lights, sparking outlets, or damaged wiring. They should also avoid overloading circuits by plugging too many appliances into a single outlet. By working together, landlords and tenants can create a safer and more comfortable living environment for everyone. Now let's address some frequently asked questions about common area lighting and electrical codes. One common question is whether the NEC applies to existing buildings. The answer is that the NEC typically applies to new construction and alterations to existing electrical systems. However, local jurisdictions may have regulations that require existing buildings to be brought up to code in certain circumstances, such as when there is a major renovation or when a safety hazard is identified. Another common question is whether a homeowner can perform their own electrical work. The answer is that it depends on the local regulations. Some jurisdictions allow homeowners to perform their own electrical work, while others require that all electrical work be performed by a licensed electrician. Even in jurisdictions that allow homeowners to do their own electrical work, it is always recommended to hire a qualified electrician, as electrical work can be dangerous and mistakes can have serious consequences. A third common question is what to do if you suspect that there is an electrical code violation. The answer is to contact the local building department or electrical inspector. They can investigate the situation and take appropriate action. Finally, remember that electrical codes are constantly evolving. It is important to stay up to date on the latest changes and developments to ensure that your electrical systems are safe and compliant.